It's the SportsZone Unfiltered, brought to you by HEB.
Welcome back in. It's SportsZone Unfiltered on the Cube. I'm Paul Gallant. He's John Lopez, and with us we've got a special guest, Houston Rockets basketball expert Kris Gardner of the HoustonRoundballReview.com. What's going on, bud?
How you guys doing? I'm doing great.
It's been a while, man, and we've been wanting to get you on just because of your Rockets expertise, and you've been to probably just about every game for the last several years. This is one of the more interesting seasons I can recall, especially coming off of last year. So I'm going to start with the James Harden effect, which I've talked about on the radio and on this show as well. I'm not saying the effect is a bad thing because his numbers are off the chart, except for turnovers, which are off the chart the other way. So what is the James Harden effect? Because the locker room seems to have crumbled around him. You know, certainly Dwight Howard wanted out, it seemed, or was going to be out. Some other players have already moved. Ty Lawson gone. What is exactly, how would you describe what has happened in the locker room with the James Harden effect?
I think part of it is he came in out of shape, and that kind of trickled down to the rest of the players. You know, if your best player does not come in shape for practice, training camp, that sets a bad tone for a training camp and then the season. And Daryl Morey's talked about that already, you know, numerous times, how the players as a whole got kind of fat and, you know, happy.
But that can change, you know, with hard work. I mean, it seems like it's more than that.
Hard work, well, I think some players were kind of jealous of his outside activities, his summer activities, shall we say, and kind of were convinced he didn't work hard and put in the time to get better. And it took him months to get into shape for the NBA season, and he regressed to the non-defensive playing James Harden that was not there last year.
Right, and he was in great shape going into last year, and I think playing with Team USA was certainly a big help in that. And what's weird with me about Harden and this year, I remember it was brought up by Kevin McHale, I think, on Inside the NBA. He finally brought up, okay, yeah, Harden came in the season out of shape. He said he was dealing with an ankle injury. And Harden just sort of flat out denied it.
Right.
And it seems like everyone's in agreement that he did come into the season out of shape. And I mean, I think the accountability, that's the problem, I think, John, that you're talking about. It starts with him, and maybe he's never been that accountable guy, and I think that might be why the locker room is where it's at
That's
right
one
now.
of the reasons. I think that's a big part of it. He's never been accountable. He's never accepted the fact that he was out of shape. He was. I mean, you could see pictures of him on his summer activities.
Yeah.
He seemed kind of heavy.
Yeah.
So if we can see it, we have proof of it right there. Just man up and say, yeah, I was out of shape. You know, I let myself get, you know, kind of fat.
All right, about the team itself, they had a stretch there. I want to say about 10 or 11 games in a row, giving up over 108 points a game. Then they have play a close game and lose 89-87, but the defense fails in the back. They've also, and we tend to forget this because it seems it's in the back of our minds now, they've also fired a coach, and this coach doesn't seem to be, you know, pushing all the right buttons. It just seems like it's a total hot mess this year.
It's a mess, and if we want to talk about, let me just talk about the 89-87 loss when they collapsed and there was an 18-point lead
against the Jazz.
Against Utah, and it was a game that they kind of needed to distance themselves, separate themselves from getting the 8th and 9th spot. But down the stretch, the offense just grew stagnant and slowed down to a crawl. James Harden went back to his old pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball. But after the game, you look at the stats, Dwight Howard took 5 shots.
Yeah.
And then J.B. Bickerstaff was kind of saying he wishes Dwight got more shots. Well, aren't you the coach?
Yeah, you can fix that. You can fix that.
That seemed kind of strange for me to hear him say that, but it was just another example of the problem they've had all year, that they don't seem to know themselves what's wrong, how to fix it.
Right, and some of the guys that they have brought up on the team that you see putting in effort that I think could be contagious. Montrezl Harrell's a guy who I've wanted to see a little bit more of this year. Now, I understand that there's always been a hesitance with this team to play younger players, and I get why he's going up and down between Rio Grande Valley and the Rockets, but the supporting cast around Harden this season, especially recently, because while Harden did come into the season out of shape, he has been playing, I think, well recently. Look at the 16 assists that he had against the Thunder earlier this week. I mean, he's playing well. It's just now the supporting cast that for whatever reason was so good last year, that has also fallen down. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, Kris, why that happened.
That, you know, you can talk about Corey Brewer. Corey Brewer had a great season last year. And he may have played above his head last year, and he's kind of regressed back to what he really is, which is not really a good thing for the Rockets this season because they needed consistent bench scoring, and he hasn't provided that. Three-point shooting from him, that corner shot that he made a lot last year, he hasn't made consistently this year. And then the power forward spot has just been a mystery, you know, for a year and a half with Modi Eunice being hurt and coming back this year. Terrence Jones hasn't played well. Josh Smith he played well last year for when he joined the Rockets. Then the Rockets didn't re-sign him with the Clippers, then played off with the Clippers. and Daryl Morey or whatever said, well, we can fix him. We know Josh. And he came here and he's done nothing. He's now just sitting on the bench, collecting his check. All
right, well, let's ask this then. And my man here brought this up on your radio show. See, I do listen. Nice. And I thought it was a good point. Which year is the fluke? Last year, when they're within just a few, really good moments of making it to the conference finals, or this year when they're really disastrous?
I think last year was a fluke.
Yeah.
And folks kind of forget that the last game of the season, they were battling for between the 2nd and the 6th seed,
exactly.
And the Spurs lost.
Right.
So the Spurs would have won, the Rockets still been 6th. So they ended up being 2nd, and then helped out the matchups. It's all part of who you play in the playoffs, matchups, injuries, everything like that. It's not a knock on who you are. It's not a knock on the Warriors, for example, who they played, and injuries part of it. But I think last year was more of a fluke, and then this is just reality.
Mm-hmm.
How do they approach this offseason? I'm at the point already where I just want to stick a fork in the season. They're at the 8th spot right now because they do have a tiebreaker over Utah because of their conference record.
Right.
But, who knows what will happen going forward. They have a tough game Friday against the Toronto Raptors, who are chasing the Cavs for first spot in the East.
They have a tough stretch.
They've got some tough games ahead.
Yeah.
But, again, they might end up making the playoffs. There are a lot of teams in the West that are dealing with injuries. Dallas, Memphis, of course, too. So who knows what will actually happen before the end of the year. But I guess my question for the offseason, so what happens next? Is Dwight Howard going to be here?
No, I don't see why he would be here. I don't think he's happy here with the team. I think he likes the city.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would be with the Rockets.
Is that part of the reason Michael Beasley was attracted? Now, that's been one of the brighter spots, I guess, here down the stretch.
Maybe their perspective, though, John.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have the right perspective. That maybe they're going to change their focus from having the anchor in the middle, big man, to more of just a big front line that can score. That type thing.
Possibly, but they still have the pipe dream of getting Kevin Durant.
Well, everybody does. Get in line.
Get in line. One of the reasons that they signed Beasley was because he's friends with KD's from childhood days or whatever.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen at all, but any little bit helps to get Durant interested in the Rockets at the very least. But I think they got to blow it up.
He's Kris Gardner. You can check out his work at the HoustonRoundballReview.com and also at the HR Review on Twitter.
You got it. Yes,
there
sir.
You go. All right. That's Kris Gardner. Up next, we're going to wrap up the show with champs and chumps like we always do. You don't want to miss it at SportsZone Unfiltered on the Cube. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. The SportsZone Unfiltered will continue after the break.